When Sarah stepped into her childhood home after 3 years, the scent of rosewater and old books hit her like a memory she had tried too hard to forget. The living room was just as she remembered. The worn-out maroon sofa, the faded curtains her mother refused to change, and the photograph of her late father above the bookshelf, still watching over them with a silent gaze. Sarah had left home after a fight that still echoed in her mind at night. She had wanted to study abroad, to see the world beyond the narrow streets of their town. Her mother, Zara, had begged her not to go, her voice cracking with fear of losing her only child. Now, returning after hearing of her mother's illness, Sarah felt the weight of every step through the hallway, every corner that once knew her laughter. She found her mother in the kitchen, stirring soup with slow, careful movements. Zara had aged. Her hair had turned almost completely white, and her shoulders seemed smaller somehow. But her eyes, dark and deep, still held the same quiet strength. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with everything they hadn't said in 3 years. "You're home," Zara finally said, her voice softer than Sarah remembered. They sat at the small dining table, the same one where Sarah had once done her homework while her mother cooked. The air felt too still. "I heard you were unwell," Sarah said, her eyes fixed on the cracks in the table's varnish. "I'm better now. The doctor says I must rest more," Zara replied, stirring the soup again though it clearly didn't need it. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You were busy living your life," Zara said, not unkindly, but it cut through Sarah's chest all the same. That night, Sarah lay awake in her old room, staring at the ceiling. The walls still had faded stickers she had stuck there as a teenager. She remembered how she used to fall asleep listening to her parents' quiet conversations in the next room. Her father's laughter, her mother's gentle scolding. But he had passed away when Sarah was 18, leaving Zara quieter and Sarah more restless to escape the suffocating emptiness of the house. In the morning, Sarah offered to help with breakfast. They moved around the kitchen, careful not to bump into each other, each movement a delicate dance of distance and unspoken regret. "Your father's favorite tea set broke last month," Zara said, placing 2 chipped cups on the table. "I remember how he never let anyone else touch it," Sarah replied with a small smile. "Yes, he was stubborn." Zara's smile faded. "Like you." The words hung in the air. Sarah wanted to argue, to say she had no choice but to leave, that she felt trapped, but she stayed silent. After breakfast, Zara sat by the window, her sewing basket on her lap. Sarah watched her mother's thin fingers struggle to thread a needle, and for the first time, she saw how frail Zara had become. Without thinking, Sarah reached out. "Let me help." Zara hesitated, but handed over the needle. Their fingers touched briefly, sending a spark of old warmth through Sarah's chest. "You never liked sewing," Zara said. "I know," Sarah replied, "but I always liked watching you." They shared a quiet smile, and for the first time since Sarah's return, the silence between them felt gentle rather than sharp. In the days that followed, Sarah cooked meals her mother used to make, though never as perfectly. She swept the floors, aired out the rooms, and fixed the garden gate that had been broken for years. Slowly, the house began to feel alive again, and so did something inside Sarah. One afternoon, Sarah found Zara sitting alone, her eyes wet and distant. "Mama, what's wrong?" "I had a dream about your father," Zara whispered. "He was standing at the door, waiting for you to come home. And when you did, he smiled." Sarah swallowed hard. "I miss him too." Zara nodded, tears falling freely now. "After he died, I was so afraid of losing you too. That's why I tried to stop you from leaving, but I only pushed you away." Sarah knelt beside her mother, taking her hand. "I didn't understand that. I only saw your fear as control.
I'm sorry, Manna.
Zara touched Sarah's cheek, her hand trembling. And I'm sorry for holding on too tightly. They stayed like that for a while, the weight of years lifting, though not completely. Some scars would remain, but love, Sarah realized, could live alongside them. That evening, they cooked together. Zara showed Sarah how to fold the dough for her father's favorite dumplings. They laughed when Sarah messed it up, and the sound felt unfamiliar in the house, yet deeply right. Later, Zara brought out a small box Sarah had never seen before. Inside were letters Zara had written, but never sent. Letters filled with worry, love, and words Zara hadn't been brave enough to speak. Sarah read them with tears in her eyes, feeling her mother's love in every line. "Why didn't you send them?" Sarah asked. "I thought you wouldn't want them," Zara whispered. "I would have," Sarah replied, her voice breaking. They sat side by side, holding each other's hands. The letters spread across their laps like a bridge built out of pain, regret, and love. On her last night before returning to her new life, Sarah sat by her father's photograph. "I'm sorry, Baba," she whispered, "for leaving like that, but I'll come back. I promise." When she stood to leave, Zara was at the door, watching her. "You don't have to go," she said softly. "I do, Mama. But now I know where home is," Sarah replied, hugging her tightly. "And I'll always come back." As Sarah stepped out into the morning light, she felt something inside her settle. The road ahead was still uncertain, but the silence between them had changed. It was no longer emptiness, but a quiet promise that love, though bruised, had never left. And sometimes that was enough.